It's April 2025, and WWDC is just a couple months away, and I'm starting to wonder what Apple's got up its sleeve this time. Their annual event is always a big deal, rolling out the next wave of updates for iPhones, Macs, iPads, and the whole ecosystem. And there's already a swirl of leaks and guesses floating around about what we might see. It's a chance to peek into where they're headed, new software tricks, maybe some hardware hints. And I'm curious how it'll all shake out. Will it be a game changer or just more of the same? With 2 months to go, the countdown's on, so let's dive into the rumors, stitch together what's simmering, and figure out what this year's show might mean as we inch closer. Here we go. Time to explore. WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, is Apple's yearly showcase, rolling out the next software for their ecosystem. It's mostly online again, free for devs everywhere, which is handy. Anyone can tune in. There's an in-person keynote at Apple Park on June 9th, and I'm imagining the scene, tech fans gathered, waiting for the big reveal. You can catch it on apple.com, the developer app, YouTube, pretty much anywhere. So we're all part of it. Starting with iOS 19, there's already plenty of buzz about what's coming. Word is it's the biggest redesign since iOS 7 back in 2013, when everything went flat and colorful. Now, leaks suggest it's pulling from Vision OS, the system behind the Vision Pro headset. Translucent menus, new icons, a camera app that floats. It's an interesting shift. I can picture my iPhone screen looking sleek, maybe a bit glassy. Online mock-ups, like those YouTube leaks, show the camera app with a bigger viewfinder, see-through controls, split photo and video modes. Could be neat for snapping pics on the go, letting the moment stand out. There's more on iOS 19, talk of a smarter Siri, something to rival ChatGPT. Imagine asking, "Hey Siri, what's my week?" And it pulls from messages, calendar, weather for a rundown. Sounds promising, right? Other bits include focus modes in the control center, widgets that adjust to context, like transit near a station, and a glassy keyboard. The Vision OS vibe is strong, floating pop-ups, notifications like glass cards. The WWDC logo's translucent 25 hints at it. This could tie their devices together. Betas drop June 9th for devs. Public betas may be July, full launch September, standard timing. Hardware's in the mix too. iPhone 17 leaks are already making waves, and WWDC might just give us a sneak peek. This year, Apple is shaking things up with 4 models: iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro, iPhone 17 Pro Max, iPhone 17 Air. No Plus this time. The Air's the standout. Thinnest ever, maybe 5.5 millimeters, down over 2 millimeters from the iPhone 16 Pro. Dummy units online show a single 48-megapixel camera in a horizontal bar, aluminum frame, 6.6-inch screen, all eSIM, no SIM slot. It's got the A18 chip from the iPhone 16, and I'm curious how it'll feel. Light, sleek, different. September 2025 release, but a keynote nod could kick things off. Will the iPhone 17 Air get the C1 modem? It's Apple's in-house 5G chip, sub-6 GHz, no millimeter wave, 4 gigabits per second max, debuted in the iPhone 16e. Could save space and power for that thin build, and rumors say it's slated for mid-tier models like the Air. WWDC might hint at it. Pros might stick with Qualcomm for 2025. The rest of the lineup gets A19 chips, 12 gigabytes RAM for pros, 8 gigabytes elsewhere, plus Wi-Fi 7 with Apple's chip. It's a step forward, I guess. Let's talk about what Apple won't mention at WWDC. Tariffs are wreaking havoc, and we're about to feel it in our wallets. New US tariff rates dropped on April 2nd, and they're brutal. 34% on China, 46% on Vietnam, and 24% on Japan. The iPhone supply chain is caught in the crossfire. Over 90% of iPhones are made in China, and that's a problem. Online estimates suggest a $1,000 iPhone will now cost $1,171, a 17% jump just from tariffs. Vietnam was supposed to be Apple's backup plan, but 46% tariffs there? Even worse. Reports say Apple's margins are down 9%, And with inflation biting, this stings. The next iPhone could easily cross $1,340 before it even hits store shelves. Worldwide Developers Conference won't address this. They'll pretend everything's fine while we get stuck paying more for the same old tricks. Online chatters calling it greenwashing. Nice words, no action. WWDC might toss out some vague sustainability slide, but with production chaos, it's hollow. They're drowning in their own promises, and we're left holding the bag. Another big talking point? Apple's so-called green goals. They've been shouting about carbon neutrality by 2030. And I wanted to believe it. Recycled materials, clean energy, carbon offsets, it all sounds good. But look closer, and the cracks are showing. Reports say Apple's emissions actually rose 5% last year, mainly due to shipping shifts from tariffs forcing production out of China. More factories in Vietnam and India mean more transportation, more fuel use, and more emissions. In short, Apple is scrambling to fix a supply chain mess and making its carbon footprint worse in the process. WWDC might throw up a feel-good sustainability slide, but it's clear they're drowning in their own promises. And that intelligent Siri? Don't get your hopes up. It's delayed again. Full rollout's pushed to iOS 19.4. Spring 2026 at the earliest. We're supposed to get this clever assistant digging through our lives, but instead, we're left with the same dimwit Siri that can't handle basic tasks. Social media is brutal. People asking simple stuff and getting nonsense. Apple's AI game is a flop, and WWDC is just gonna dangle more empty hype while we wait another year for something usable. Frustrating doesn't cover it. The rest of the software's a mixed bag. iPadOS 19, macOS 16, watchOS 12, tvOS 19, visionOS 3. iPadOS 19 mirrors. iOS 19's glassy look. Fine for tablets, I suppose, but it's starting to feel like a gimmick. macOS 16, codenamed Cheer, goes translucent too. My MacBook might look cool for a minute until it drops Intel support, screwing anyone with an older machine. September 2025 drop. Yawn. watchOS 12's quiet. Maybe new faces, health tracking if they bothered. tvOS 19's a snooze. Menu tweaks, big deal. visionOS 3? With Vision Pro floundering, it's a desperate grab. Better apps, sure, but it's lipstick on a pig. Hardware's getting dicey. A Mac Pro's rumored with an M3. Extreme chip, but it's a long shot. June 9th's usually software-focused, and with tariffs choking supply, don't hold your breath. The iPhone 17 Air's single 48-megapixel lens feels cheap for 2025. Horizontal bar or not, it's a step back dressed as progress. WWDC's a dev lifeline, online labs, sessions, but it's starting to feel like a hype machine for a sinking ship. The Swift Student Challenge wrapped. Winners got word March 27th. 50 teens head to Cupertino. Nice, but it's not fixing this mess. Backlash is piling up too. Apple's in hot water. Siri's a running joke. News calls it their biggest failure. Stuck in the Stone Age while AI leaps ahead. Tariffs are tanking their stock. Shares dipped today as China and Vietnam get hammered. Social media's livid. Won $340 iPhones. Spark rants about greed. Vision Pro's a bust. Overpriced, underused, and now this? WWDC's shaping up as a PR disaster. They'll strut out like it's all good, but the cracks are gaping. There's some chatter about privacy and regulations that might come up at WWDC. It's been a hot topic for Apple lately. They've built their brand on keeping our data locked down. And that's cool. Ads for privacy are everywhere, promising our iPhones are Fort Knox. But the US and EU are sniffing around with antitrust probes, digging into App Store rules and how they squeeze developers. Investigations are piling up. Rumors say fines could hit billions, or they might force open the ecosystem by June. Social media's buzzing with devs griping about locked-in policies, and it's starting to stink. Apple's preaching privacy while playing gatekeeper, and WWDC might just be a stage for more excuses as the walls close in. June 9th. The grim payoff. Tim Cook saunters out, black turtleneck smug as ever, claiming something special. iOS 19 flickers up, translucent clutter, Siri still dumb. Maybe they tease the iPhone 17 Air. Thin, overpriced, tariff jack. One more thing. Mac Pro? Nah, I'd still roll my eyes. Software's the core, but it's a polished letdown. Betas roll June 9th, public betas July, full launch September, if they don't botch it. Why is this hitting sour? Tariffs are hiking prices, 171 more per grand, and it's climbing. Intelligent Siri's a ghost, delayed to 2026 while we stew with a dud. Backlash is deafening. Stocks down, fans are mad, Vision Pro's a flop. iOS 19's glassy redesign feels like a desperate stab at relevance. Vision OS cribbing for a company running dry. The iPhone 17 Air's a twig-thin cash grab, and the C1 modem's maybe that won't save it. Tangent time. WWDC used to have a pulse. Steve Jobs dropped bombs. iPhone in 2007, pure shock. Now it's a corporate slog, online fluff, in-person posing. June 9th. A shadow of that thrill. I watched WWDC 2020, hyped for Apple Silicon. But this? Tariffs, delays, flops. It's a drag. Vision OS as inspiration? It's a failing AR dream bleeding into phones and Macs. Unified, sure, but uninspired. iOS 19's Home app might get that glassy redo, controlling lights through a blurry pane. Thrilling. Let's wrap this. I'm done. WWDC 2025, 2 months off, is a slow-motion bust. iOS 19's a shiny mess. iPhone 17 Air's a tariff casualty. C1 modem's a shrug. June 9th a sham. Betas roll. September delivers. And we're stuck paying more for less. What's your take? Another dud or a total collapse? Let me know. I'm bracing for the worst.